Action activate. Let's rock it. Here we come. There they go. People rise, 'cause they know we're super soldiers. We got cool clothes. You're real smooth. You see our pose. Hang shit. Energize. Mask on. Time to ride. Combine. Grease ties.
Greetings, I am Gazbot. This is Action Activate. And if I'm Gazbot and this is Action Activate, then with me, as always...
It is I, Big Dog. What is going on, Gazbot?
I always say Big Dog Defender, but that's sort of like a unofficial title. In a way.
I mostly phased it out.
Yeah, but it, for a while that was Gazbot Knight, and that never really worked. But Big Dog Defender just flows off the tongue.
It does. I mean,
Yeah.
what can I say? I'm good at nicknames, and
the true loyal fans that have been with us since the beginning, you'll always be Defender.
it's true. And I'm not saying I'm not. I'm lazy with my name calling.
That's fine. Speaking of name calling, the episode this week is called Jam Session. This is season 2, episode 6 of Power Rangers Dino Fury.
Dino Fury. So before we dive into it, initial thoughts.
Very good.
I thought it was solid. I would say I liked it on par of last week, but slightly less, just because I liked the like special episode-esque kind of moral of the story of last week better than this one. But this was still a good episode, and I don't want to take away from that.
I'm having a brain fart. What was the moral of the story? Oh, right. Yeah, gotcha. With the family stuff and okay. That was the one thing that was kind of funny is the father, the park ranger guy, who had sort of redeemed himself a little bit, he wasn't so bad this episode. This episode, it was like, wow, this is the worst he's ever been. But they finally addressed it and kind of made it okay. And So no, when I think about, I have most, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Here, put it back on us.
All right. You want a one shot here? What's going on?
No, it's easier to see you talking when you're full size than Haim Saban in the credits.
Oh, that's true. When I'm fun size.
There you go.
It's mostly good. Some of it I liked more than others, but it was all on the good side. All of the complaints I have, I think, are CGI related, and most of that is from Sentai. So, it continues the trend of this season being generally way better than the first season. And it's the thing of where it's not even that we're getting super, super exceptional, blowing my mind episodes, but it's just I'm more excited to watch it. I'm more interested. It doesn't feel like sometimes season 1, sometimes it's like, oh, are we done with this episode yet? Oh, I got to watch it. It was a little bit of a chore. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't exciting. And I feel like this season it's doing a good job. And if they keep ramping up, it could end really well, which, would be great. I'd rather both seasons be good, but if one has to be bad, better season 1 than season 2.
Yeah, I know, calling back to, I think, our first episode review, I forget who it was, but somebody was like, oh, yeah, this is all just whatever. I politely disagree with you, viewer, because so far, kind of like you said, I think it's good. Nothing. I think there's one episode that I would say, blew my socks off or close to it. But this was just another solid episode is what I would say. Last episode, solid. This episode, solid. All good.
And across the board, you were doing this one a little differently. We're kind of I have it on standby if we need to, but we're not going through it the way we usually do. But I feel like it did a thing where the monster of the week, general, this is the action we have this week, was fine. Good or above average, just everything was fine. They got a new Zord. It was an interesting way they got the new Zord. I like the new Zord. I like the new armor. Then the B plot of the family stuff, like we said, that was cool. When Javi, when the father came and was disappointed, because you knew that the father was going to be disappointed. You knew he was going to find out. Okay, just in case people haven't watched it, Javi needed to get the key from this jerk in a band. And the jerk in the band's play guitar for me on this time and day, otherwise you're not getting it. And of course, that was when his father's medal ceremony was. And his father's like, it's really important to me you be there. So Javi's like, well, I got to play guitar because the Rangers and blah, 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 blah. And as soon as that, you knew his father was going to find out and be like, you're dumb guitar again. And when he did, and he's like, you're not there to support me, Javi's like, you hypocrite. I'm like, wow. Like, not just like, Dad, that's not cool. And like, but like, it was like, you know, kind of confrontational and kind of real, especially for like this sort of show.
Yep.
And the dad was like stunned and he's like, you never support me. And then everyone's like, sorry, bro, he's right. And then Jane showed up.
Dude.
Like, here, look at this. He's great. And Jay Borg ran the board. Jane and Jay Borg were there being competent, good side characters.
I know. It's a thing where like I said, when we see episodes like this, it retroactively makes me frustrated when they make them like the biggest idiots in the show.
Yeah, so it was, Oh, and then also they furthered the bigger plot of Void Knight and his wife, girlfriend, partner. Let's say partner, his partner, and both like his plan to like get off the planet, and her. It seems like eventual betrayal. We don't know that, but definitely having a different purpose and like, so it's just sort of like all of the standard. This is what's happening this week stuff was done well. And then all of the meta plot, bigger stuff was pushed forward well.
Yep.
Like they just did everything well.
Yeah, the thing I liked, there was no character that was bad. And this is the first episode I can think of Dino Fury where my initial feelings and thoughts started were completely changed by the end, which I can't say has happened. Where right at the beginning, Javi's playing guitar and his dad comes and is a huge stick in the mud. And I'm like, this episode's just going to be another dumb B plot about this. And then I was happily wrong, where I was like, they addressed it. The dad hopefully isn't terrible anymore and learned the error of his ways. Like there was a reason for this. Like everything was good. I want to talk about the guitar player with the blue hair, Blair, for a moment.
Yes.
Blair to me is if, for all you Smallville fans out there, if you were given a piece of red kryptonite, I feel like you would be Blair.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Because we both have blue hair.
No, because it'd be like there are a lot of attributes that you share with Blair, but obviously you're not an a-hole like he is. But if you were ramped up to like just all the negative aspects are just like toward the top, it's like, yeah, I care about me and I'm the front man of this band. By the way, I love pancakes and I don't like flapjacks and I know the difference.
Okay, now you got me there with the pancake. Okay, you definitely. Yeah, it's true. And I have been in a band and I have been the leader of the band. So there's some truth there. Okay. All right. You got me. I was trying to find.
And then I love the other thing. Hey, they might need that key. Finders keepers.
Yeah.
Everything about it. So two moments that I actually laughed out loud, which full props to whoever wrote this episode, was when he did the flapjack thing. I'm like, that's kind of dumb. And he opens his shirt. And he's like, I love pancakes. There was that.
For Beast Morphers, I wanted the cheetah shirt. And for this one, I want the flapjack shirt. And the flapjack pancake shirt, like that, you're right. That is something I'd wear and go to IHOP. Like,
yeah. What was the other thing? Dude, that song was hysterical.
I kind of liked it.
I did too, but like
kind of catchy. Like
it was catchy, but like all the lyrics were just.
Oh yeah, like I'm 17, I don't care. Yo, we don't care. There he is.
Don't tell me what to do because I'm not gonna do it because I don't care.
Yeah. I'm 17. Yeah, but, so it was funny, agreed, and not like stupid funny. It was like, you know, depending on who you are listening to it, it could be like, oh yeah, I feel this, or that's ridiculous. But it was also kind of like a catchy song too. Like, yeah.
Everything was good. Just take a look at this guy Blair right here.
Yeah.
Wearing a zip-up jacket when he doesn't necessarily need to. Because you're amplified toward negative, you have those leather wristbands. I'll let them go right here.
I will say I have certainly worn leather wristbands in my life.
That's what I'm saying. This is peak bad gas.
It's true. And my hair goes down instead of up.
Honestly, the three of them are like the tray of Triforia for like you, like as a youth. They're all just broken off into different personalities.
Wait, so the guy with the mohawk and who's the third one? The checkered guy or Javi?
Yeah, the checker guy. The checker guy's chill. The mohawk guy is like, I like to be loud, but I mean well. And then Blair, the blue-haired guy, is just like, I am the negative.
I guess I could see that, and I don't see a lot of myself in Javi because I certainly was never a dedicated musician, even though I've been in a lot of bands. But I did also wear a leather jacket for quite a while too, so there's that part of it.
But you also would totally wear that checkered vest today.
Yes, yeah, I would. Yeah.
But no, again,
Also, I think the guy with the I'm like 99% sure the guy with the mohawk that is like glued onto his
yeah,
hair.
I was thinking that in this freeze frame as well. Where in the episode it looked pretty good, and now I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
the cracks have settled. This is definitely an odd ensemble. What did he say? He wasn't peacocking. He was
a cockatoo or something like that.
Cockatoo.
Yeah.
That was good. There were a couple of subtle good jokes that I can't remember off the cuff that were just super good here.
Agreed. Oh, I like that. Again, since we're jumping around, I like that Zato, when he's like, "Are you sure it was the key?" He's like, "I could." That's a weird face. I paused on, but he's like, "I could look," and then like, yeah, oh, that's a good way. It's like a photographic memory. He just looks right into his head and can see. Oh, not only is it a key, but I know what key it is. Blah blah blah. Which brings me to another point. As much as we complain about the MacGuffin keys, and like I've kind of gotten over it to the point where like, okay, this is just what it is. I like that they didn't have their Zords, and there was the weird looking that thing again. That's probably Sentai footage. The Zord jammer. It just looks
jarringly
so
terrible.
It doesn't. It's bad, but it's bad in a way that doesn't look like it fits in with Power Rangers. It looks like it should be in like an old Ultraman episode or Star Trek: The Next Generation or something. It just doesn't like fit somehow.
Yeah. Or like anyway, a Doctor Who from like the season 1 of the reboot.
It looks like bad sci-fi, not bad like Sentai. You know what I mean? But I like that when it comes up, they're like, okay, well, I'm going to use my hover key. I'm going to use my elastic key. And they start using random keys to try to get it. And it didn't work. And I'm like, I like that because you would go, well, we got a million powers. Let's try them. And we didn't need to see everyone. We saw they tried with a couple and realized it's not going to work. And again, that's just one of those small details that we always say, why didn't they try something? Hey, they did, and it didn't work. I'm satisfied. Now they have to get the Zord.
The snooze key, I wasn't a huge fan of, but again, what are you going to do?
Again, we may have seen it before. I don't remember, but it doesn't matter because I assume they have any power they could possibly want in a key. What was weird though was when they were fighting that Sporks, I forget his name, Death Snake or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, they're fighting him, and they're like, it's only a matter of time before he gets big. And like, I know we gotta like, until they snoozed him. But then later, when Javi used the Crusher key or whatever it was, and I also like that. I'm probably getting it wrong. Crush mode. What is it called when he puts the crush armor, the punch armor?
Oh, Packy Zord.
Yeah, but what is the mode? It doesn't matter. Whatever the mode is,
Packy punch.
He used it to free the Terrazord, and then he just like, what else can I punch? Or what else can I crush? And he goes, oh yeah, and he jumps back in the fight with it. I thought that was great too. Because like, yeah, why wouldn't you keep using your powered up mode? So then he fights the Sporix and he beats him, blows up, and the Sporix, like the globy part of the Sporix, flies up. That usually only comes out after they grow big, and they made a point of saying he was going to grow big. So, like, why didn't he grow big?
Because I guess he just packied enough punch. I was waiting that whole time to make that joke after I realized that I missed it the first time.
Yes, I'm dead. I wouldn't say you missed it, Bob. So anyway, back to the show that we can enjoy.
Yeah, I did like that. They caught it right away. Another thing, kind of switching gears about the Sporix is now who we know is Void Queen, because I forget her civilian name, definitely like gets into stuff. And that was the thing of like, hey, like I that was an interaction I really liked, kind of solidifying her dynamic with Void Knight of like, we could use these to like do something crazy. He's like, I want to leave. I want to be gone. And it was so funny. Like, funny's the wrong word, but like, it was interesting seeing him like tell her like, I have to be like alpha out there or they will destroy me.
Right. And she's like, well, then be more alpha. And he's like,
but I just want to go. Like, I don't want to be alpha anymore. I'm very over it.
Yes. I agree. And how quickly, and you got this almost immediately, but they like, again, they forwarded the plot here where she's like, yeah, all right. Like, clearly I'm going to do what I want. You're being dumb. And like, you know, it's like, he's not seeing it because whatever feelings he has or whatever, but like, as the audience member, you're like, obviously their goals don't align and it's going to be a problem, you know?
One thing that I found out that's a fun fact, so I'm going to steal this one from the Matt moniker, who I was assuming was putting it in. Did you recognize Void Queen?
Yes, because I've watched Tokyuger.
Hey,
Yes.
that was a cool. That was a cool kind of throw
It
in.
is cool, but it means that they're definitely not doing Tokyuger, or at least not adapting it with those villains in that way. Unless they're like, let's make continuity and she continues on, which would be fantastic. But I don't see that happening. But what's funny is, because I knew it was from Tokyuger, but I'm like, what was her name? So I looked it up to remember what her name was, which was Madame Noir, I think it was. Now I'm forgetting something Noir, Madame Noir, or Lady Noir, whatever. But they're like similar to the Ninja Steel costume. Where you're like, wait, Ninja Steel used something from Tokyuger? I don't remember that. And it was Cosmo Royale. But here's the thing. It wasn't the same head. The body was, I think his name was Baron Nemo. And he had more of like, almost like a bird mask, like a plague mask kind of.
Oh, yeah.
But they did a whole new, the head is American only. So I didn't feel so bad not recognizing them. I was like, what, how did I miss that? But so they used the whole body of a different character and put the head on. But again, more evidence that maybe they're not going to do Tokyuger if they're just like reusing the suits everywhere. But hey, I'd rather they use the suit here. And actually, like, as we're talking about, I'll put it up. But yeah, she called herself the Void Queen, which is cool. And it makes you think like, oh, like, he's the king, but he's a knight. Knights usually work for queens.
Yep.
So it's interesting that she gave herself that title.
Yeah.
And he, again, may not even realize it yet, but that was very telling. And then she demonstrates her power of telekinesis and destruction. He doesn't look thrilled by this.
The telekinesis, though.
You think she had that before she got powered up?
I think it was amplified because she showed she has telekinesis, then blew something up with it.
But I'm saying you think that's more evidence that she's from Andros's planet K, whatever.
KO35?
Yeah, 35, yeah.
So somebody in the comments was saying that they said in space that, like, technically anybody could use telekinesis. You just have to practice it as an ability.
And they did, even Andros acted like he could teach a human.
But so I'm not saying that you were wrong. That is definitely canon. The way I saw that interaction was Andros going, "Hi, cute girl that I'm into. Of course I could teach you telekinesis." Because we never saw anybody other than him and Zane use telekinesis.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but we're supposed to think of these.
I feel like it's a huge can of worms if they went that route, so I'm glad they didn't.
I could go either way. That canonically, he said it in a way that if he wasn't being truthful, then he was just sort of like trying to hit on a girl by lying, which is not a great look for the leader of the Power Rangers. But
hey, we could do a deep dive of why the true leader of the Power Rangers was second in command, but that's for another day.
I said it to their faces at a convention, so
And I definitely also shared breakfast with that individual. Shout out to you. What was I saying? So
did we ever talk? Well, okay,
go for it. This is the off the rail show. It's not action activated if we follow formula.
I don't know why this would have ever come up, but like, did we ever talk about our Power Morphicon experiences? We've gone there to sell, but we've also been there as fans. Did we ever? I feel like it's gonna be weird to come in the middle of a random episode. It might be better if it's its own episode if we talk.
So here's what I will say for everybody who's 18 minutes in. If you would like us to go over our previous Power Morphicon experiences in preparation for this year's Power Morphicon, let us know, and we will do it before this year's Power Morphicon. If you don't care at all, also tell us, because then we won't actively do it if enough people say no. If no one says anything, we're probably going to do it. So...
Also, I bet you somewhere before we did Action Activate, I did mostly art videos and I did convention videos and vlogs. And if you look in the archives or look up Power Morphicon, I definitely did videos. It'd be more art related and more, but I definitely, you could watch them if you just want to see. But I was thinking of specific anecdotes of like things, the breakfasts, the specific.
Your 2016 one, I'm pretty sure, is in a vlog.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
on the channel,
it's findable, but it's not the same as like, hey, we're just going to chat about it for a while and like,
So the 2016 one, now I remember. So that was when you were doing 100 Days of Art.
Yes, 100 Days of Making.
Because I remember you were very miserable at the end of the evening when you're like, "See you guys in 30 minutes."
Yeah. Okay,
Doodle.
We're getting way off the rails. You could find those if you want to, and if you want to hear us just talk about it at some point before the new one, let us know.
So Void Queen kind of doing her own thing.
Yeah. Javi then basically talks about, hey, maybe I will make music my career. He'd been like messing around with it. I also like they made a big deal in the past, like his father, of like, oh, now you're doing keyboard, now you're doing guitar. It's like most decent musicians will try several instruments, and maybe they'll be good at more than one. Like many people write songs on piano and then play it on a different instrument, for example. So it's like it's not like he's like, I'm going to do photography, now I'm going to be a computer programmer, now I'm going to be. It's like, no, he's a musician doing music stuff. And when the guy was like, can you fill in? I'm like, again, I play guitar, I play bass, I sing. I'm not good at any of them. I've never been very good. But even a good guitar player can't necessarily learn a whole set list worth of songs in an afternoon. And I'm like, is he gonna be able to do this? And the fact that he could, and then is like, also here's a solo, like, and so when everyone was impressed, I'm like, they should be impressed, because that is not average. I just noodle around with the guitar kind of ability.
Headcanon, or just what actually happened. So I think they were supposed to be a popular enough band where he just knew all of their songs anyway.
Maybe, but that doesn't mean he knows how to play them necessarily.
That's fair, but we can assume that Javi just in his spare time is like, oh, I learned how to play this on all 9 instruments.
Sure, but I mean, like I was okay. I liked Green Day a lot when I was learning guitar, and I learned a bunch of Green Day songs. But I didn't know every Green Day song.
I mean, when you can play one Green Day song, you can play most Green Day songs.
This goes back to me not being a great guitar player. You know what I mean? But also, typically when a band has two guitar players and one of them is the singer, the other guitar player does all the hard stuff. So whatever. So he was doing the hard part.
Yeah. One thing to the beginning of the episode, I didn't take hard notes, but I thought about, should I take notes? When Javi first had his interaction with his dad at the beginning of the episode, all I thought was, why is this man from Footloose and Power Rangers? What are you doing? Is that your fifth or sixth instrument now? What do you with that music? That music?
You're absolutely right. But what's amazing is that that's one of those things where Footloose is so ingrained into popular culture. I've never seen that movie, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I know. It's weird.
I've seen both, and I enjoy both for very different reasons.
There were two Footlooses?
There was a remake.
Oh, no, I've never seen either one. I don't. I feel like I probably wouldn't enjoy it at this point, but I don't know. Maybe.
I feel like you would enjoy the first one because it like the message of it you would enjoy, of just like, for those who don't know, it's about a town that's very conservative and like doesn't like rock and roll music. So Kevin Bacon, being from the city, comes in and shows everybody a good time with the power of rock and roll.
You know what I also just realized as we're talking about this? I also haven't seen Dirty Dancing, which was the other 80s don't dance movie.
Yeah.
And I think was not sure which one, what they're kind of the same movie to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're not allowed to dance, and then they dance with a girl and they win. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which one's which or what the difference is. Don't Put Baby in the Corner is in one of them.
Dirty Dancing.
Okay, so there you go. So yes, I guess you've seen Dirty Dancing as well?
I've not actually.
But that goes back to how you
same thing. So Dirty Dancing is the quotable one. Footloose is the one, like you said, out of context, but it doesn't have a quote that I can think of.
Right.
But anywho,
this isn't off the rails. But part of the reason it's off the rails is because we're like, this episode's good, we like it. Not much to talk about. So anyway, it's good enough that there isn't a lot to critique, but it's not good enough that we're like, let's talk about this mind-blowing thing that happened. It's just good.
One thing we didn't talk about in specifics is the new Frozen armor or whatever. What do you think?
I almost love it. I was going to say I love it. I love the ice effects, very Sub-Zero. It's a case where the CGI does work. And it's like, you get the feel that it's just adding a little bit of cold damage and frost damage. I think it's a really cool effect. I like the armor itself. And when the wings came up, I'm like, because I saw the armor, I'm like, that's cool. And the wings went up, I'm like, I love it. And then they went back down. I'm like, oh, not as much. And he flies around and he's fighting. And I like the way it works. I like the whole flying cold. I like the pterodactyl of ice. I like that. I just wish when he flew, it looked more like wings instead of little flappies. But overall, I like it.
To me, I have this huge conundrum. I wish the suit was beefier, but I like how whimsically he fought in it.
Why would it be beefier if it's all about agility and speed?
I know it shouldn't be, but aesthetically, I want it to be a Frozen battleizer that looks really cool next to other battleizers. And this is like a power up, plus, where I'm like, like, because also in contrast, in that scene, we saw the obnoxiously large boxing gloves from the
Right.
Packy armor, where I'm
Well,
like,
this. Go ahead.
yeah, where it's like, yeah, like make those wings beefy. I want to see big old frozen wings, and then we
This
saw
comes
like,
back to aesthetic differences we have because the
yeah,
Packy armor does what it does. I don't like it aesthetically. I don't think there's anything wrong. This isn't actually a critique. This is a what I like. Like I don't want that figure. I wouldn't want that armor if I was a Power Ranger. The sleek one with ice that you fly around in, that's more my taste. So yeah.
So on 3, I want us to say what our favorite armor is that we've seen out of the 4. For reference, we've seen the Packy, we've seen the burning, we've seen the electric, we've seen the frozen. I don't think
Isn't there
there's one
one
I'm
other? I think
missing.
there's one other, I thought.
Maybe there is, and I'm forgetting
Now,
it.
are we talking about just aesthetic or including the abilities and things like that?
All one notch, all encompassing.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Electric.
The Terra. Electric is my second, and if we were going just on looks, it would be electric. But the ice and the flight, like, yeah, the Terra, I prefer.
I think if we were using these armors in like a party situation, I would be Packy. Just kind of throwing that out there.
Yeah.
And I could see you doing ice.
I would love it. And that's again going with my personality. When I play fighting games and stuff, if I play Street Fighter, I'll play Ken, I'll play Ryu, but like Chun-Li is more my style. Like the speed, the fast hits, kind of like that's yeah.
I aspire to be Ken. I am Zangief incarnate, so I'm just rolling with it.
I'll play Ken because I like the character of Ken, like the American. So I'll play Ken, and if I start losing, I switch to Chun-Li. That's basically how. And it's similar with Mortal Kombat. I'll be like Scorpion or something, and then I'll switch to Liu Kang. Like the fast, quick ones are the ones I just do better with.
I out of context, since again we're off the rails. Gaz and I read this comic called Die, which is essentially like I did not, and I want to, and we'll talk about it after briefly. What was I saying? Oh, so we read this comic Die. It's essentially like this giant game of D&D is the easiest way I will put it. And we've had multiple
in real life, like they get sucked into a world of D&D.
Yes, it's like Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe, but with Dungeons and Dragons instead of that story.
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of. Go read it. It's really good.
Well, Lion Witch in the Wardrobe, they still stay who they are. This is like, I'm going to play a barbarian, and all of a sudden now you're 6 feet tall and like, muscular. Like, you become the thing you said you were.
Yeah. With that vein, we've had multiple conversations, especially on road trips, of who would we be in the party? Why do we think that? Would we be chaotic good? Would we be neutral? Blah, blah, blah. And all this. And I'm pretty positive I would be a barbarian or a tank or both.
Mm-hmm.
And you, I think, would be a rogue. And if not a rogue, then a spellcaster.
Sometimes other people can assign you things more accurately than you can yourself. What I can say is when I've played D&D and Pathfinder and games like that, more often than not, I will be a ranger, or more recently when I played, I've been a bard.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means, but I feel like Ranger fits what I was saying before. Light armor, travel quickly, range attacks, a little bit of magic, friends with some animals, and my bard, I was a really big fan of my bard character because nobody knew I was a bard. That was the whole thing. I rolled a bard and I played him like he was a really good sword fighter. He was not a good sword fighter, but I had all these skills where I could do kinds of flourishes and give intimidating speeches and like juggle things that look like Jackie Chan kind of fighting. But if I actually got into a fight, I would be destroyed. But I was super good at talking a big game and making it like no one's going to really want to fight this guy, and even my party thought I was a fighter. But I wasn't. I was a bard.
That's awesome.
Yeah. and you have to pick a musical instrument, so I just had my voice. So we'd be going into like, because a bard's always like, let me give you a little AO, boost everybody's
toss a coin to you with ya.
Right, and everybody gets a boost in HP or whatever. But so I would just I'd casually whistle, and I'd be do, and everyone would be getting like inspiration without realizing why. And like I don't know, it was just a lot of fun to me to be playing this really not powerful character that everyone thought was like a good fighter.
It reminds me of that Nick Cage movie coming out. Have you seen that?
Where he plays himself?
Yes.
I've seen the trailer.
Yeah, same. But it's him of like, oh, you're Nick Cage. And he's like, yeah, I guess I am. Same kind of thing of he built this legend for himself. And then it's like, oh, I guess Guess got to live up to it now. All right.
Yeah.
But
we have never been this far off the rails.
Oh, we've 100% been this
when
far
we're
off the
doing
rails.
actual episode review. When we had other really okay. Well,
yeah, during Beast Morphers, I think you and I had like a good 15-minute debate once.
For those of you that have watched a fair number of these episodes, comment below. I mean, there's a lot of things you comment, but do you think this is the most off the rails we have been? Because I think it is.
I think this is top 5. I don't think it's number 1.
All right. We have been going for about a half hour. Is there anything else you want to say about the episode?
Let's see. Recap. B-plot story with Javi and his dad was good. Jane was
great.
We didn't talk about it enough, but like Jane, like this is what when we first saw Jane in episode 1, this is how I imagined she would be in the show.
Kind of a
we've only seen this twice.
Boss, rather, yeah.
Yeah, where she was great, kind of showing Javi's dad the error of his ways when she really didn't need to.
No.
She was just there and was like, hey.
The firm but fair kind of like hard ass boss, but like when it counts, she's like, hey, he's a good kid. Like, yeah.
There was that. Jayborg in the background wasn't irritating. There was no gag humor in this whole episode.
It was all just jokes that were actual jokes.
This is the framework. This is the framework. If you
sorry, I agree, but I just realized we didn't go through the way we normally did. Otherwise, I would have done this. In the very first scene, when we see Void Knight coming in to talk to who becomes the Void Queen, in the background, I played it twice. You could hear Slither talking. He's like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what did he say? And he's talking to Mucus. And in retrospect, they're talking about the Zord Jammer, because he later was like, I painted that, which was another good joke. He also had a good joke when they failed. He's like, grovel, Mucus.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
But those were like, you could hear them in their part of the show. But what he was saying was essentially like, Mucus is like, can I help? And he's like, no, I'm making art here. I don't want it to be all sticky. And she's like, oh, okay. But it was like, you could barely hear it. Like it was fun that the background walla of just, the enemies are talking actually was a joke and a conversation and not just nothing,
Shout out to friend of the show, Campbell Cooley, where this is yet another time that you've brought up where like throwaway kind of lines with Slither pay off, where like there was another one where like he told part of a joke in one part of the episode and then finished it in another, and I didn't catch it, but you did.
I love the background stuff like that, because it going back to like, yes, this is a budget thing. It costs nothing. It costs nothing but like the effort of the writer to say it and the actor to do it.
And my hope is that for all these scenes, just because Campbell's had so much experience with it, they're like, we need you to talk in the background. We don't care what it's about. And he's just done all these funny things of like, oh, I need to do this and blah, blah, blah. And like, as you said, little things that come from that. So Void Queen transformation is cool. She's going to be a huge nuisance, I'm sure. Cool new armor, cool new Zord, cool way of getting the key. Good non-Zord fight that turned into a Zord fight. Good.
Made me regret, because I have the Ryu Soldier. Made me regret not getting it, because it's sort of a translucent blue figure, and I've wanted it, but it had never been cheap enough, and it made me like, oh, I really want it now. It's so cool.
Yeah,
and there's no American version, so
I was going to say the good news is we have the main 5 Zords of the American one.
Let's end on that terrible note.
Yeah. This Friday, April 12th, or not 12th. I think this Friday or next week, at some point in the next week, Hasbro's doing a Power Rangers fan first something reveal. Check that out. I'm sure there's going to be some cool stuff there that we'll talk about.
Sure.
Super 7 just released Wave 3 for pre-order, even though Wave 1 hasn't even hit yet.
Which is par for course with Super 7.
Which is their figures. They look really awesome. No new Lightning Collection news. 3-0, no new news there.
Anyway, I've been Gazbot.
I continue to be the big Dawg.
And
to the Power
Defender.